These tools are here to help you worry less, think about less, open your brain up to one thing at a time by unloading the things you don't necessarily need to think about right now. Hey guys, welcome to another Emii Creations video, and today we're going to talk a little bit about how I stay productive in my small business tasks and what tools I use to do that. So the first program that we're going to be going over is Trello. So I'm going to walk you through how to set everything up, how I recommend you use it, and how I partner it with my daily to-do tasks or planners. So you don't have to get rid of your planner. You can use Trello along with those things that if you are like one of those planner people. So the great thing about Trello is it is used in the industry. I first was introduced to Trello when I was at Luma Pictures, a VFX company in Los Angeles who work on Marvel films. So this definitely is a system that can benefit you. So I also have friends in other industries that use Trello for their personal tasks. So even if you have a full-time job or a day job, you can definitely still use this for your personal day-to-day task management. 3 things I love about Trello. The first being that it's free to use, always awesome. The second thing is that it's scalable. So you can definitely add members to your team for free. And once you start hiring people, it's super easy to onboard them. It's very intuitive to use. So you don't have to have a lot of learning or teaching in place for people, new hires to pick up. The third is that it's also available in most mobile and tablet devices, so it's definitely a great on-the-go task management system as well. I'll be in my car thinking about, oh, I need to do this task, and whip open your phone, add it to your Trello board, and you're good to go. I'm gonna walk you through the whole Trello creation process. So what's first gonna happen is you're gonna be at your home page right here. I have a few boards already, but you're gonna create a new board. I've already started like a test board for you guys to see. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna organize things by lists. And let me show you the list that I use for my personal board. The first list that you're gonna see is backlog. And backlog is basically anything that doesn't need to be done immediately. So this might be something that's just good to eventually get to. It doesn't matter if it takes a month to get to, it doesn't matter if it takes a year to get to. Basically, if you have free time, this is where you go to find things to do. Second list is next up. So next up is basically what's, as it sounds, next to be done. This may be, for me personally, the stuff I need to do within the week. So it's not today's task, but it should be done within a timely period. I would put like my weeks to do in next up. You can do like weeks tasks. You can name it whatever you want, but basically the concept is having these types of lists to keep you organized and keep your mind aware of when, like how soon approximately they need to be done. So the next list is today. Basically all the tasks that I want to ideally accomplish today. I'm a little lenient on this one. It's more like I would prefer it to be done today. This is just the list of, if I'm looking for stuff to do immediately, like high priority stuff would be in today. And then obviously there is a done. And then I also have an abandoned one because I found that like there's certain tasks where, if I'm talking to someone about a commission and then they stop talking to me for whatever reason, I can just put it in abandon because I guess they didn't want it after all. So there's a few things in abandon. I don't use it a lot, as you can see, but sometimes it happens, The next concept we're gonna go through is a card or a task. So Trello uses cards for each item that you need to get done, right? Let's actually go through this whole concept in our new board. So we do backlog, and then we have next up, today, and done, abandoned. So you can name all of these anything you want. I just like naming it these because they seem like very logical to me. So now that you have all your lists set up, we can create a card. You can do a quick enter the card title here. So let's do something like film YouTube video. And as you see, a card is made. Now you can also add a lot of great information into this card by simply clicking on it, and you can start adding descriptions. So I want to do a productivity video, and then I want to maybe talk about Trello, and I want to maybe talk about to-do lists, and I'm gonna save that. So I have a little description. You can be as descriptive as you want, just anything that will help you accomplish this task. Now, most actual studios have a format in which that description needs to be written. But if you're just using this for your personal organization, it kind of depends on how you feel about it and how is most productive for you. Like, I can't emphasize that enough. Like, if you don't want to write a description, even if it feels like you're just wasting your time writing descriptions, then don't do it. You know, like, this is mainly to help you in the best way possible for you. The next thing I want to refer to is a checklist. I love the checklist system. I use this all the time. So an example would be like steps to completion. You can label it anything you want, and you can start adding items. So maybe one is film, one is edit and upload. So this, as you go through the tasks, mostly for tasks that are really heavy and long and big, you would want to create steps for yourself so you don't feel overwhelmed by a specific task. You can even go as far as to create different cards for one task. So I can even do a film YouTube video card and then a film edit video card. It kind of depends on how long it takes and how you like to set it up. But as you can see, you'll also see which tasks you finish, and it'll reflect it out here as well, which is kind of cool. So once you finish all of them, then you'll be at 100% completion, and it'll mark it as green out here, which is, I really like that concept. You can also set a due date. I love the due date concepts. Sometimes it's super helpful to me. Sometimes like I don't really like using it. It kind of depends on the task, but it's a cool thing to have if you want to utilize it. So maybe it'll be due on Friday, and you can even set a time for it. You can set a reminder if you want. And let's save that. The one thing you have to know is that you have to check mark the due date when you complete it, or else it's gonna start going like warning you about it. So for example, if the due date was yesterday, so it's like over, right? Oops. It's gonna show up as overdue. So it's kind of cool if you have time-sensitive tasks that you need to do. At quick glance, you can immediately know that it's overdue by the way they color it. If it's due super soon, it'll also warn you too, which is kind of awesome by the color. So it also says due soon in here, and it shows up as yellow as the time gets closer. So another thing I like to use a lot is the labels. You can make labels for different task types. So for example, I like to put, since this is my personal board, I like to put my work and my home life pet stuff in here as well. So maybe green will be pet, and then yellow will be home tasks, like doing laundry or something like that. And then I need to turn up. And then orange will be work tasks. So you can do that, and then every single task you can actually set the labels. So this is a work task, and I'm gonna set it to work. So out here, it'll immediately show up as work. And another great thing that I recommend utilizing, even if you're just doing this for yourself, is to write comments whenever possible. So for example, I might be going back and forth with a client. Emails get lost very easily. So sometimes I'll write comments of like, client didn't want blah, blah, blah. So we did this instead, and you can save this comment, and it'll have a time stamp for it. And so you know immediately, like, if you're coming back years or months later, you know immediately what went on. After you create a card, then you can move it to different lists. So you can probably create a card anywhere you want. I usually create the card in backlog as like a standard. Like I'll do like new task. And then once I have it all filled out, like I have the labels done and it's fully ready to go, then I'll go like next up. And then you can move, the concept is you drag it to different lists based off where it is in the pipeline. So for example, today we're doing this, and once I'm done with this and I've checked off everything that I need to do, checked off the due date, I move it to done. Now this is really great because it kind of shows you all the things you've accomplished. And you can also search for like, oh, whatever happened to that like one task I was working on. It's all in here and it's super clear. So I really like this system because it gives you a way to track things that are not like just for today. It's so easy to get overwhelmed with all the things we have to do for our business, right? So having some secluded, like one-stop place to unload all those tasks and organize them in this manner is so helpful. And I think it frees up your mind to stop worrying about the task part of it and worrying about the actual doing part of it. Next board I want to show you is my Emii Creations board. So for a little while I was working with 2 to 3 people on a few different tasks, and we were using Trello to manage all those tasks. So the way I set it up is that I have an unscheduled, next up, in progress, and also have a ready to review, in review, rejected, and done. And this was especially important for us because I was working on a lot of art concept stuff. So I would ask one of our workers, Sammy, to create a design. And I had to know when she was done with it, and I had to physically go in and review her work. And then she had to be able to understand if, like, where in the process it was. So for example, if Sammy, for whatever reason, like has something wrong with the design, I can put it in rejected. And she immediately knows that she needs to start working on this again based off the notes that I put in here, which I don't think I put any notes in here since last time. But as you can see, I've put notes in this one where I was like, oh, it's very unclear, please like do these changes, right? And then I'll throw it back into rejected, so then the person knows where it is in the pipeline. So then they themselves will know to grab it from rejected and then put it back into in progress whenever it's in progress. This was really helpful for me and the people I was working with. So it definitely shows you a different way to make your list based off what is needed for your company and the people that you're working with. And the awesome thing is really easy to invite people to the board. So you literally just have to have an email address, and then you go invite to pour, put their email address in, and you're good to go. And then you can assign them by doing add members to cards. So then you can add anybody in your little group to a specific card. And for this particular board, our labels are a little different. So as you can see, I did these kind of labels: low priority, mid, high, and blocked and pending was also a big one if we're like waiting for some kind of feedback to come back. I think that was one of the biggest important ones for me, because sometimes they would have a bunch of tasks in progress, and I'm like, are you guys working on like 20 tasks? They're like, oh no, some of them are blocked. And I was like, okay, that was not immediately like it wasn't immediately known to me. So as you can see, the black tabby ones are the ones that they're not immediately working on, so they're being blocked for whatever reason. Usually they have to write in the comments like why it's being blocked and stuff like that. This is my example of how to use Trello, how to scale Trello to be used in a group environment if you're managing multiple people in your business. And the my personal board is something that's a little more simple if you're just using it for yourself, for your own business. So you can definitely use Trello by itself as an end-all be-all management system for your business. But for me personally, I love to do this. I love writing things down, and I love using planners. So I kind of want to show you a little option of like how you can use Trello with a planner or like a to-do list. So after I have all my tasks written out in Trello, Trello is kind of like the main task management system. Like everything has to be on there. That's kind of like the rule I set myself. Like if I have a task, I put it on Trello. After all my tasks are set up on Trello, every night before a work day, so that doesn't include Sunday nights, I will sit down, open Trello, and plan out tomorrow's work day. I really personally love setting up my to-do the night before, because I find that in the morning I'm already frazzled. I woke up, I'm like super sleepy, I don't know what's going on. So it's really nice for me to wake up in the morning already kind of knowing what my day is going to be like. I kind of like waking up and having somewhere to reference, like, oh, what am I working on today, you know, and having it all immediately already available to me. So I've gotten into a habit of every night before I go to sleep, I will write my to-do list for tomorrow. It's been a lovely habit that I've established, and hopefully if you guys get into the habit of it too, let me know if it works for you. Let me know if you have another system that works even better, and maybe I can try that out too. There's a few ways to do it, but I like to use either a single to-do list, something like this, if you like that loose paper type of feel, or you can use like a planner. This is the planner I got for next year. I always queue up my planners before the year starts, and they always have an awesome like timeline system. So I think this kind of stuff is great if you really want to plan out your day. Like, what am I going to do in the morning? What am I going to do in the afternoon? What am I going to do in the evening? It kind of makes it easier for you to not overplan, because I feel like one of the biggest issues with using Trello, mostly if you have a today section, is that you try to plan too much in a day, and then a lot of people get discouraged, like, oh my god, I didn't finish all my tasks for today, like this is not working for me. It's like, it might be working, you just have to plan less for the day. So this is great because you can also put in things like errands. If you have to get your car fixed, if you suddenly have to go and pick up your mom from the dentist or the doctor's, like, you can put that in here and you can block off time for it. So you make sure you're not scheduling tasks where you don't have time to schedule tasks. So you might actually find that some days are filled with errands and you just cannot schedule anything that day, which is fine, you know, but you have to be aware of it, and you have to not bog yourself down and feel like you're not accomplishing anything. I love planners because it shows you that you are accomplishing stuff, even though it might not be business stuff, you're still busy, you know. It definitely helped me a lot be less harsh on myself when I'm not doing a lot of business tasks that day. I'm like, I can look back, like for example, if I felt like, oh my god, I didn't do anything last week, what was I doing? I can open my planner and be like, that's what I was doing, you know, like I couldn't help that something came up, you know. And it's definitely great to have this as a reference to know what you were working on last week or last month and stuff like that. And a lot of these planners also have like month pages, so you can plan, if that's something you like to do, you can plan your month ahead of time. I personally don't like to do that. I feel like my tasks are very crazy and they move around a lot, so I can barely plan ahead for one day, let alone a month. But sometimes when it happens, I kind of like having the month option definitely in there. Examples of like what you would need the month option for are like events that are coming up in the month. You probably should know about that before it happens and stuff like that. So if you guys are curious which planner I'm using, this is the first time I bought this one. They are called Heroes Journal, and I think it was such a cool little like concept that they made. I'm gonna be using this for 2021. I'm super excited about it. And they kind of have your task as a quest. So every day you have a new quest that you want to focus on, and then you have the days. It still has the day's timeline of like, oh, what's happening at noon, what's happening at all that stuff. And don't forget to plan in your lunches, because lunches take a lot more time than people realize. Just as a little recap, Trello is such a great system to hold all the overarching tasks that your business needs. I also use my to-do list or my planners and set it up every single night before the workday happens. I hope these tasks are very helpful to you. I found it to be super helpful to me, mostly when COVID hit, and it's really hard to get up in the morning sometimes. I think a lot of these two tools can potentially stress people out because they see all these tasks. They're like, oh my God, there's so much to do, right? I think it's important for you to also utilize the planner because you need to kind of give yourself an overview of what you have done. Celebrate like what you've accomplished. Don't forget to do that. And don't stress yourself too much of like, oh, I need to get this all done right now. These tools are here to help you worry less, think about less, you know? Open your brain up to one thing at a time by unloading the things you don't necessarily need to think about right now. I think it's important for you to just focus on one task at a time and 1 hour at a time even. And I really encourage you just to try out different methods. Like my method might not necessarily work for you. My method might not work for you in the beginning, but later on it might. Like just keep it open mind. I feel like it depends on what feels best for you and what makes you the most productive and the most happy. I think that's like one of the biggest bases to go off of, like what makes you feel good about what you're doing. Be sure to let me know if this was helpful, or if you have your own tips, I would love to hear them. Feel free to put it in the comments below. I'm also live on Twitch if you guys want to talk about planners. I'm total planner organization geek. I love to hear what you guys do for your own task management for your small businesses. And if you like our content, be sure to subscribe and click the alert bell. I hope to do a lot more vlogs and helpful tips for small businesses, mainly product-based businesses. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.